Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. The Sicilian defense controls the d4 square with c-pawn. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center to prepare for a d4 pawn push, where the knight will recapture if black captures on d4. d6 opens up the light-squared bishop and prevents white from pushing the pawn to e5 after black eventually plays knight f6. d4 offers to trade the d-pawn for the c-pawn, giving up a center pawn for more active pieces. C takes d4 gives black 2 central pawns versus 1 central pawn for white. Knight takes d4 recaptures the pawn and activates the knight in return for having 1 central pawn versus black's 2 central pawns. Knight f6 develops the knight toward the center and attacks the undefended e4 pawn. Knight c3 defends the e4 pawn and starts to develop on the queen side. a6 prepares the queenside pawn advance b7, b5, and also prevents white from playing the bishop or knight to b5. Bishop g5 puts immediate threatens the knight on f6. White may castle queenside after developing the queen. e6 controls the important d5 and f5 squares and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop to e7. f4 gains space in the center, controls the e5 square, and prepares to develop the queen to f3 behind the f-pawn. Bishop e7 develops the bishop, unpins the knight on f6, and prepares castling. Queen f3 develops the queen, supports the e4 and f4 pawns, and prepares queenside castling. Queen c7 develops the queen and controls the half-open c-file. Queenside castling gets the king out of the center, activates the rook, and seeks to start an attack on the king side. Knight bd7 develops the knight toward the center, defends the knight on f6, and controls the e5 square. g4 takes space on the king side and allows white to fianchetto the light-squared bishop to g2. b5 takes space on the queen side and prepares to fianchetto the light-squared bishop to b7, where it will sit on the long diagonal. Bishop takes f6 captures the knight on f6. White opens up the g5 square in order to play the g5 pawn push. Knight takes f6 recaptures the knight and attacks the e4 and g4 pawns. You are threatening to win material through a discovered attack. This stops the opponent from being able to win material through a discovered attack. You're kicking their knight out of a useful square. This move puts the knight on a safer square. Good job, that's what I would have played too. There were worse moves, but also something much better. Not the best move, but not bad either. This permits the opponent to capture a pawn and win material after the follow-up trades. Nice, you capture a vulnerable pawn, winning material after all trades are completed. This misses an opportunity to connect rooks. That was a fair trade. Takes back. This pin ties down their bishop, reducing its flexibility. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. Nice, definitely the right move. This loses a bishop. This is the way to win a bishop.